master these 8 essential words, and you'll never be disrespected for your kindness again. Did you know that 78% of kind people secretly harbor resentment? Learn the vocabulary that separates respected individuals from pushovers. By the end of this video, you'll speak confidently about kindness without being taken advantage of.
Think you already know the difference between being kind and being a pushover? Test your knowledge in our quiz section, or risk being taken advantage of in every conversation.
What you will learn in this video. The hidden strength in kindness. Discover why true kindness isn't about being a pushover, but a sign of inner strength and wisdom.
Why boundaries matter. Learn how saying no the right way can actually make your kindness more impactful and respected.
Breaking free from expectations. Understand how to offer kindness without expecting anything in return, and why that's so powerful.
The ripple effect of Stoic kindness. See how practicing intentional kindness can create a lasting, positive impact beyond yourself.
All right, let's get straight to it. Today we're diving into some powerful words from our discussion on kindness and stoicism. These words will not only boost your vocabulary, but also help you think about kindness in a whole new way.
That's right. We'll break them down, give you real-life examples, and most importantly, help you use them naturally in conversation. Let's go.
Resentment. Definition. A feeling of anger or bitterness because you think something is unfair. Example. If you always say yes to people, you might end up feeling resentment instead of gratitude. Synonyms. Bitterness, irritation, frustration. Antonyms. Contentment, satisfaction. Collocations. Deep resentment, build up resentment, harbor resentment.
Oof, resentment is a heavy one. If you feel it, it's a sign that something needs to change, like setting boundaries. Speaking of which, second word is boundaries. Definition: limits that you set to protect yourself emotionally, mentally, or physically. Example: using Funfluen, you can learn how to politely set boundaries in English without sounding rude. Synonyms: limits, rules, restrictions, collocations. Set boundaries, respect boundaries, healthy boundaries.
Pushover. Definition: someone who is too easy to influence or control. Example: if you say yes to everything, people might see you as a pushover rather than a kind person. Synonyms: weakling, doormat. Antonyms: assertive person, strong-willed.
Ouch. Nobody wants to be a pushover, but guess what? Stoicism has a solution. Next is self-awareness. Definition: the ability to understand your own emotions, thoughts, and actions. Example: practicing self-awareness helps you avoid being a pushover while staying kind. Synonyms: mindfulness, introspection, reflection. Collocations: develops self-awareness, lacks self-awareness, deep self-awareness.
That's a superpower. And guess what? The next word will help you level up even more. The next one is intentional. Definition: done with a clear purpose or decision, not by accident. Example: with Funfluen, you can practice intentional learning by focusing on real-life English conversations. Synonyms: purposeful, deliberate. Antonyms: accidental, unplanned. Collocations: intentional action, intentional decision.
Compulsion. Definition: a strong, uncontrollable urge to do something. Example: some people feel a compulsion to check their phones every 5 minutes. Synonyms: urge, obsession. Antonyms: choice, self-control. Collocations: strong compulsion, psychological compulsion.
Detachment. Definition: A state of not being emotionally involved. Example, Stoicism teaches detachment from things we can't control. Synonyms, objectivity, indifference, antonyms.
Attachment.
Involvement, collocations. Emotional detachment, complete detachment.
Last but not least, burnout. Definition: a state of extreme mental or physical exhaustion, often from overwork. Example: learning English without a plan can lead to burnout, but Funfluen makes it fun and sustainable. Synonyms: exhaustion, fatigue, mental drain. Collocations: suffer from burnout, prevent burnout, work-related burnout, back.
And that's a wrap. 8 new words to boost your vocabulary and change how you think about kindness.
Here's a pro tip. Listen to this episode again in a few days to really lock these words into your memory. Repetition is equal to real fluency.
So, ready to use these words in real conversations? Try them out and let us know.
And if you want to learn even faster, you already know where to go. Funfluen.
All right, so today we're diving into something that you might not expect kindness, but not like the typical, random acts of kindness kind of thing.
Right.
We're going deep with Stoicism today.
Okay.
And how this, like ancient philosophy, views kindness as a source of strength,
Interesting.
not weakness.
It really is. It kind of flips the script on how we usually think about kindness, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And to help us with this deep dive, we've got this YouTube video called Why Kindness Makes People Disrespect.
Ooh.
Stoic Philosophy from the Stoic Training Channel.
That title's a little provocative, isn't it?
It is. It's definitely meant to grab your attention.
Yeah.
But I think it plays on this idea that a lot of people have that,
Yeah.
being too kind makes you a pushover.
Right. It's like that age-old thing, like, oh, don't be too nice or people will walk all over you.
Exactly. But what this video really gets into is that the Stoic concept that true kindness, it actually comes from inner strength and wisdom.
Okay, so it's not about being weak or naive. It's about having this really solid foundation.
Exactly.
I like it.
So the video uses a bunch of anecdotes and stories to illustrate this point.
Yeah.
What's one that really stood out to you?
Okay, so there's this one about John. He's like the super helpful neighbor, always there to lend a hand.
Oh, I know the type.
Right, fixing fences, lending tools, even like missing dinner to help someone find their lost keys.
Wow, he's really going above and beyond.
He is. And at first, everyone's super grateful, right? But as time goes on, it becomes expected.
Yeah, I can see where this is going.
Right. He's always the yes man, and that can backfire.
Definitely. So what happens?
Well, the video uses John's story to show how that constant availability, even though it comes from a good place, can actually lead to resentment.
Oh, so when he finally needs to say no?
Exactly. People get upset. They're like, wait a minute, you're not dropping everything for me now.
That's tough. So it's not that John's a bad guy.
No, not at all.
It's that his approach to kindness isn't really sustainable.
Exactly. And that's where the Stoics would say is kindness lacks boundaries.
Boundaries? Okay, so how do the Stoics define boundaries in this context?
Well, they'd say that John's kindness isn't coming from a place of reasoned choice. It's more like a compulsion to please everyone. And that ends up hurting him in his relationships.
That makes a lot of sense because it's like his constant giving becomes this unwritten contract.
It does, and then everyone's disappointed when the terms change.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
how does Stoicism help us navigate these tricky situations?
So one of the key principles the video highlights is aligning our actions with our values.
Okay, so instead of just reacting to every request,
Right.
we take a step back.
Exactly. You pause and ask yourself, is this act of kindness truly in line with my values and priorities?
I like that it shifts the focus from external expectations to internal alignment.
Yeah, it's about being more intentional and discerning with our kindness.
So it's not about becoming cold or uncaring.
No, not at all.
It's about making sure that our actions are genuinely aligned with what we believe is right and good.
Precisely.
So in a way, it's about becoming more self-aware.
Absolutely.
Understanding our own motivations before we jump in to help.
Yes, and the Stoics believed that self-awareness is the foundation of virtue.
Okay.
And true kindness in the Stoic sense is a virtue, not just a fleeting emotion or a social obligation.
That's a really interesting distinction.
It is. It really elevates kindness to something more meaningful and powerful.
So it's not just about doing nice things, it's about cultivating a deeper understanding of ourselves and our actions.
Exactly. It's about living a life guided by wisdom and virtue.
That's a powerful idea.
It is, and it's one that we'll continue to unpack as we go deeper into this video.
All right, I'm ready to dive in deeper. Let's see where this goes.
Let's do it. And, this whole self-awareness thing, it ties into another big Stoic principle, accepting what you can't control.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge one in Stoicism. How does that apply to kindness, though?
Well, think about it. We're always trying to control how people perceive our actions, right?
Yeah, especially when it comes to being kind.
Exactly. We attach all these expectations to our kindness.
Right.
Hoping for a specific outcome or response.
Like we want people to be grateful or to reciprocate in some way.
Exactly. But the Stoics remind us we can't control that.
We can offer kindness, but we can't force someone to accept it or to be kind back.
Right. It's about letting go of that need to control the outcome.
That makes sense, but it's also kind of tough to swallow, isn't it?
It is. It's easy to feel hurt or resentful when our kindness isn't appreciated.
For sure. Like you put yourself out there and then nothing.
Right. But that's where the power of Stoic acceptance comes in.
Okay. So it's not about becoming indifferent or detached from the world.
No, not at all. It's about recognizing the limits of our control.
Okay.
And focusing our energy on what we can influence our own intentions and actions.
So it's about letting go of the outcome.
Yeah.
And just focusing on the act of kindness itself.
Exactly.
That feels very liberating, but also a bit counterintuitive to how we're often taught to think about kindness.
It does challenge the conventional wisdom, right? But the Stoics would argue that this detachment from outcome is what allows us to practice true kindness.
Okay, so a kindness that's not driven by ego or the need for validation.
Exactly. It's kindness that comes from a place of genuine compassion.
I like that. And I think the video touches on this with the story about Lisa the nurse.
Yes. Lisa, she's incredibly dedicated to her patients.
Right.
She pours her heart and soul into her work, but she ends up burning herself out.
Oh, that's so common in caregiving professions.
It is. And when Lisa finally needs to take a break, she faces criticism from colleagues.
Really?
Who have come to rely on her constant availability.
It's like her kindness created this expectation of self-sacrifice.
Right.
Which wasn't healthy for anyone.
Exactly. And the video uses Lisa's story to highlight another key Stoic concept, boundaries.
Okay, boundaries. This is something that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
But it can be hard to put into practice.
It can.
How do we set boundaries without feeling like we're being selfish or rejecting someone's need for help?
That's a really important question, and it's where a lot of the misconceptions about Stoicism come from.
Yeah, people hear boundaries and they think it means building walls, becoming cold and detached.
Right, but that's not what the Stoics are advocating at all.
So what does a Stoic approach to boundaries look like?
It's about recognizing our own limits.
Okay.
And understanding that saying no can sometimes be the kindest thing we can do for ourselves and for others.
So it's not about being unkind. It's about being realistic about our capacity to help.
Exactly. And the video gives some practical tips on how to decline requests gracefully.
Well, that's helpful.
Emphasizing clear communication and respect.
Like what kind of tips?
Well, for example, instead of just saying no, you could say something like, I appreciate you asking, but I'm unable to commit to that right now.
That's a great example. It acknowledges the request while still asserting your boundary.
Exactly. It's like you're saying, I care, but I also have to take care of myself.
Right. And the video makes a really interesting argument that setting boundaries when done thoughtfully can actually strengthen relationships.
It can.
How so?
When we set clear boundaries, we teach others to respect our time and energy.
Yeah.
And that creates a more balanced dynamic where both parties feel valued and appreciated.
Instead of resentment building up on one side.
Yeah, there's a sense of mutual understanding.
So in a way, boundaries create space for more genuine and sustainable kindness to flourish.
I love that. Absolutely. It's about moving away from that transactional view of kindness.
Where we feel obligated to give in order to receive.
Exactly. And moving towards a more authentic expression of care that flows from a place of strength and self-respect.
This has been so eye-opening. I'm starting to see how these seemingly simple Stoic principles can have a huge impact on how we approach kindness in all areas of our lives.
Me too. And I think it's important to remember this isn't about achieving some perfect state of Stoic detachment,
right,
or becoming a boundary-setting machine.
Yeah.
It's about integrating these principles into our lives gradually with self-compassion and a willingness to learn and grow.
So it's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah. Exactly. And as we continue our deep dive in the final part, we'll explore how we can apply these Stoic insights to create a more compassionate and fulfilling life, both for ourselves and for the world around us.
So we've talked a lot about how Stoicism views kindness as like this source of strength, you know, rooted in self-awareness and boundaries and acceptance.
Right. A whole new way of thinking about it.
It is. So how do we actually put these principles into practice in our daily lives?
Yeah, it can feel kind of overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Like, where do we even begin with all this ancient wisdom?
Exactly. And the video kind of acknowledges that, you know, they suggest starting small.
Yeah.
It's not about becoming a Stoic sage overnight, right?
And it's a process.
It is. It's about incorporating these principles little by little into our everyday interactions.
Small, consistent actions that can create a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you're feeling totally swamped with requests from friends and family.
Okay, been there.
Right. Instead of automatically saying yes out of obligation or fear of disappointing them, pause, take a moment to reflect on your own capacity and your priorities.
Okay.
Then if you need to politely decline a request that doesn't align with your values or your available energy.
So being more mindful of our choices, even in those small everyday moments.
Exactly. And that mindfulness extends to our motivations, too.
Okay.
The video encourages us to ask ourselves, why am I choosing to do this act of kindness? Is it coming from a place of genuine care, or am I trying to people please or avoid conflict?
That is a really good question to ask ourselves.
It is. It helps us get to the heart of our intentions.
It does. And it makes me think of that Marcus Aurelius quote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one."
Oh, I love that quote.
It's about aligning our actions with our values, not just going through the motions.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of Stoicism, right? It's not about achieving some unattainable ideal of perfect behavior.
Yeah.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Okay, I like that.
The video acknowledges that we're going to make mistakes, we'll overextend ourselves or encounter situations where our kindness isn't received as we hoped.
Right, it's part of the process.
Exactly. But those experiences become opportunities for learning and growth.
So we can kind of reframe those moments as part of our journey.
Yes, and approach the whole process with self-compassion, not judgment or self-criticism.
Yeah. Be kind to ourselves even when we mess up.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're all works in progress, constantly evolving and refining our approach to life.
And the Stoics believe that this journey of self-discovery, it leads to a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
Absolutely. It's about connecting with something deeper within ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that really resonates with what we've been talking about. It's not about striving for some external measure of goodness.
Right.
It's about cultivating that inner strength and wisdom that allows us to navigate the world with more clarity and purpose and compassion.
So well said. And, as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to highlight one final point. Stoicism isn't just about personal growth. It's about using that inner strength to actually contribute to a better world.
So it's about taking that stoic kindness and letting it ripple outwards.
Exactly. Creating positive change in our communities and beyond.
I love that image. And the video ends with a similar message, right?
It does. It says that even the smallest acts of kindness, when they're rooted in wisdom and intention,
Right.
they can have a profound impact. They can be these beacons of hope and connection and healing in a world that often feels divided and disconnected.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And I think this deep dive has really challenged us to rethink our assumptions about kindness.
Yes.
Encouraged us to cultivate inner strength and empowered us to practice kindness in a way that's both.
Quiz time.
All right, let's see how well you understood today's episode. Answer these questions and challenge yourself. No pressure, just have fun.
Question 1. According to Stoicism, true kindness comes from a desire to please everyone. B. Inner strength and wisdom. C. Doing random acts of kindness.
Question 2. Why did John's kindness backfire? He helped too many people at once. B. He lacked boundaries and people started expecting his help. C. He was rude when saying no.
Question 3. What is a key Stoic principle for practicing kindness wisely? A. Ignoring people who ask for help. B. Aligning kindness with personal values. C. Only being kind to those who deserve it.
Question 4. What does Stoicism say about controlling how others react to kindness? A. We should expect gratitude in return. B. We can't control others' reactions, only our own actions. C. If someone isn't grateful, we should stop being kind.
How did you do? Got them all right? Great. Missed a few? Even better. That means you've got more to learn. Listen to this episode again in a few days to reinforce what you've learned, because real fluency comes from repetition.
All right, let's lock in those words with a mental workout you won't forget. Picture this.
You walk into a gym, but instead of weights, you see emotions on dumbbells. Resentment is heavy. Boundaries keep you steady. And pushover? That's the treadmill that never stops. You start lifting self-awareness like a pro, being intentional with every move, but compulsion keeps pulling you back until you push through. No more burnout, no more detachment. You leave stronger, in control. Fluency is the same. You train your mind, flex your vocabulary, and soon speaking feels effortless. So hit replay on this section over the next few days and let your brain build real strength in your new language.
If this made you think, imagine what Funfluen can do with just 10 minutes a day. Stay tuned.